Another staunch Syria ally, China, made its opinion clear Monday on any potential moves against Damascus by the international community. CNN's David McKenzie joins us live now from our Beijing bureau. David, let's talk first about what exactly is being said as the U.S. is considering a strike.
Well, certainly China and Russia are one of the few friends of the Syrian regime in terms of trying to work against any military intervention, particularly a unilateral strike. Despite the evidence that the UK, the US, and now France has said it has, that chemical weapons were used recently in Syria and that they were used by the Syrian regime, China had this to say about any possible strikes.
We are gravely concerned that some countries may take unilateral military actions. We believe any action taken by the international community should abide by the purpose and principles of the UN Charter, as well as basic norms governing international relations.
Well, Sarah pointed remarks towards the U.S. there, which is considering military action, though it's waiting for congressional approval. Certainly China says that it could cause chaos in the region. They don't want more complications in what it calls a dangerous part of the world. China has very limited options to stop any military strike, but they have used their vote, or their veto at least, in the UN Security Council several times to try and stop sanctions against the Assad regime. And certainly they are pushing against any military intervention. They say the key thing is to wait for the UN inspectors to give their full report to the UN, and then any action can be decided upon by that body in New York. Sarah?
David, I'm curious because China and Russia have both abstained and so allowed the U.S. And its allies to go forward with action against Libya. And I know Libya and Syria, two very different countries, but what is it with the relationship between China and Syria that has China staunchly standing by it?
It might not be exactly about the relationship between Syria and China, but about the Libya situation that you describe. China abstained, as you say, from the UN Security Council vote, which brought in those NATO strikes. Now, most analysts believe that Chinese leaders were upset with the way that all went down, that NATO, they say, has been working in Libya, or worked in Libya during that time, as a regime change agent rather than punishing the then Gaddafi regime. So they don't really want to see that situation unfold in Syria, where a limited action ends up being effectively the air wing of the rebel armies in Syria. So yes, the Libya situation has really burnt Chinese diplomats, they feel. China is also the biggest trading partner of Syria, but it's not a huge partner in the global scheme of things for China. More important, I think, to China is the regional situation. Like others, they fear a strike on Syria exploding out to Iran, to Israel, and others. China is very hungry for the Middle East's oil, and they are going to continue, I think, with this non-interventionist approach because they don't want that oil being affected by any overall situation blowing up post a strike in Syria.